Bol, Hari Bol. Today is Thursday, 22nd of August, 2024, and we're going through the 40th chapter of our Jaiva Dharma, and we've reached a very exceptional place, and we'll continue. We'll just have a kirtan, and then we'll continue. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Aradhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishakarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Gaura Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaviti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Oh Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Haribo, Haribo, Gaura Haribo. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Jai Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhabhika Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Brishabhana Nandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai, Nityananda Rai Ki Jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Leela Pravishta Om, Astotar Srimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Leela Pravishta Om, Astotar Srimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Leela Pravishta Om, Asto Tarzara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Leela Pravishta Om, Asto Tarzara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaura Kishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Vaishnav Sabhaboma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Srila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Varantaracharya Ki Jai, Jai Rasik Sirumani Srila Vishnav Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai, Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai, Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Varada-dasha Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai, Arupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai, Jai Svarupa-damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Prasad Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sikha Hosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari, Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Antadvip, Mayapur, Simantadvip, Gautarandvip, Madhyadvip, Koladvip, Ritudvip, Janudvip, Modandvip, Rudradvip, Apakanavadvip, Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwarasavar Matmika Shri Braja Mandal Ki Jai, Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun Ganga Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Shrimati Yogamaya Punamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai, Kitra Mandal Ki Jai, Jai Sarva Vigna Vanasakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai, Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Charidam Ki Jai, Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai, Chari Acharya Ki Jai, Akara Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai, Shri Keshav Ji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadavaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Shtapitam Jina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Priya Svarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajavi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe, Anapita Chirin Chirat Kurunavartino Kalo, Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam, Hari Purata Sundaratuti Katamba Satipita, Sadahridale Kandare Spratu Vasachinandanaha,
Yam pravajantamanapetyam apetikrityam dvaipaino viraha katara ajuhava putre titam mayatayo taravo binidustam sarvabhutam hridim munimanatoshmi bhaktiya vihina aparada lakshay shiptascha karmadi tarangamadye kripa tvam sharanam prapana vrinde namaste charanaravindam Bhajami radham aravinda netram Smarami radham madhurashmitasyam Vadami radham karuna paradram Tatomanasti katina kapi Tavai vasmi najivami tvai vina Iti vignaya radhe tvam nayamam charantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams to the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev. Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tarzara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions of times to our beloved Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tarzara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada. And the same again to our dear most Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gauda Shakti Svarupaya Rupanuga Varayate, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varga, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhavibhaja Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavena Namaha. So coming to our Fal Shruti today, and we're in the second set of 5 verses on page 830. Jade dvaita jnana hoya chita upadaya Krishna bhakti chirahina upaya upaye.
Such knowledge, which is solely related to the duality of this dull material world, is fit to be rejected, whereas transcendental knowledge of the divine duality within the spiritual world, Chit Jagat, should be accepted forever within one's heart, both as the upaya, means of attainment, and the upayi, the goal worthy of attainment.
Jiva kabu jadanai, hari kabu nai, hari saha jiva chintya beta beta mai.
The jiva is not a product of dull matter, nor is he Kevala Dvaita, absolutely one in all ways with Sri Hari. The jiva is inconceivably different and non-different from Sri Hari.
Deha kabu jiva nai, dara bhogya nai, dasya bhava jiva Krishna prabhu bhakta hai.
The material body should never be considered to be the jiva, and this earth is not for the jiva to exploit and enjoy. The jiva's Svarup is Krishna-das, and thus he is meant for Krishna's enjoyment, whereas Sri Krishna's Svarup is Prabhu, master, and Bhakta, the enjoyer.
Jaiva Dharma nahi ache deha dharma kata, nahi ache jiva gyan mayavada prata.
This book, entitled Jaiva Dharma, neither discusses matters related to the dead material body, nor does it propound the Mayavad doctrine of the jiva's oneness with Brahm.
Jiva nitya dharma bhakti tahe jadanai, shuddha jiva prema seva palapayatai.
The jiva's nitya dharma is bhakti, devoid of material motivation. The jiva's purified by seva attains the fruit of that seva in the form of prem. So Bhakti Vinod Fal Shruti Ki Jai. So yesterday we began to discuss these 5 stages, this leading to Smadhi-dasha, this Shravan-das, and today we're going to discuss Varada-dasha, Smarana-dasha, and Bhavapana-dasha, and Prem Sampati-dasha. So these stages, Vijay is inquiring how to go further. And we discussed yesterday that the principal quality of this path is utsaha, greed. Without this lobe, without this greed, nothing will transpire at all. So on page 816, Vijay, please, Prabhu, please tell me about Varada-dasha. Varada-dasha. Goswami, when the spontaneous, this is a very high stage. These are very high stages that we're discussing. This is the final chapter. They're very elevated stages. When the spontaneous attachment of the heart is bound in the Leela by the shackles of the Ekadash bhavs, which we've already been through, the age, dress, service, etc., that I mentioned previously, the disciple becomes overwhelmed and falls at Gurudev's lotus feet, weeping constantly. At that time, Gurudev becomes manifest in the form of a Sakhi, and the disciple as her attendant. So this is what I'm saying. It's a very high stage when you can come to this place of seeing your Guru as a Sakhi. In the conversations with the ISKCON Gurus in 91, they were asking who should they worship, and their particular adhikar at that time, my Gurudev was explaining, you worship Prabhupada as you knew him here. You worship his form here. You don't see the Sakhi form in your Guru, so you worship, because they were trying to, they didn't ask directly what was Prabhupada's Sakhi form, but they were kind of inferring that, how to see. And my Gurudev answered, you worship him exactly as you saw him here. And they say, well, he was in an elderly body, but it's timeless, his body. So this is his answer to that question at that time. So at that time, Gurudev becomes manifest in the form of a Sakhi, and the disciple as her attendant, because those devotees had not been practicing so long. They hadn't been guided fully into that Rasik world, so therefore they needed more work. The essential characteristic of the Braja Gopis is that they are extremely eager to render loving service to Sri Krishna. Gurudev is a Braja Lalana who has reached the perfectional stage of this seva. At that time, the disciple humbly prays to Sri Gurudev with the following heartfelt sentiments. Tvam natva yachate dritva trinam dante ayam jana svadusyamrita sakena jivyamum sudukitam na muchchech charana yatam api dustam dayamaya ato radikale haha muchainam naiva tadrisham. This is from the Premam Bhoja, Markandeya Stavyaraj, 11 and 12. O Radhalike, I am very degraded, holding a blade of grass between my teeth and falling at your lotus feet with all possible humility. So this is the mood of the disciple for the Guru also. This is the example he's given. I pray that you will kindly shower your grace upon this destitute soul and enliven me by bestowing the nectar of service under your direction and guidance. Those who are celebrated as kind and merciful do not reject even wicked people who accept their shelter and surrender unto them. This is their very nature. Therefore, please be kind to this wicked person who has surrendered unto you. Please do not deprive me of your causeless grace. I am longing so intensely for the loving service of the divine couple of Braj under the shelter of your lotus feet. So all the stages are within this verse also. Sharanagat, Nishta, faith, all the way through that we've already described. So this is a very powerful solicitation to Guru. This is the typical bhav of Varada-dasha. In this stage, the Guru Rup Sakhi gives the sadhak the order, agyan, to engage in Astakalya Leela Smaranam by taking complete shelter of Krishna Nam while residing in Braj, and assures him that his heartfelt cherished longing will be fulfilled very soon. So this is Varada-dasha. Vijay, please tell me about Smarana-dasha. These stages will be opened out further in the heart as we progress ourselves. We will read other descriptions of these stages, and gradually, we will absorb the deepest meanings of these stages. Vijay, please tell me about Smarana-dasha. Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami has said,
Krishna smaram janam kasya prishtam nija samihitam tat tat katar tashkoso kuryadvasham braje sada seva sadak rupena siddharupena chatrahi tadbhav lipsuna karya brajalokanashrata shravana shravano kirtanandani vidha bhakti utatani tu Yanyangani Chatanyatra Vignayani Manishibi. This is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1, 2, 294, 296. The sadhak should constantly remember Sri Krishna along with his beloved eternal associates. He should absorb himself in chanting and hearing their glorious pastimes, and he should always reside in Braj. These are always it's the same as Tannamarupa Charitadi, the same instruction, guidance. Those who have developed greed for Ragatmika Bhakti will render service following the residence of Braj internally by Siddha Rup and externally in their Sadhaka Rup. Those who are well versed in transcendental knowledge, Tattvavid, know full well that all the various limbs of Bhakti, such as Shravanam and loud Kirtan, should also be practiced in Raganuga Bhakti. So these three principal verses, key verses, that will unlock the path very clearly. Even before Vijay Kumar had heard the in-depth explanation of these three shlokas, he asked, what is the meaning of Kuryat Vasham Braje Sada? Goswami. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, it means that the sadhak should reside physically in Brajamandal. In other words, in the pastime places of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, Leela Mandal. You see, it's going on to say that if he can't stay there physically, then he should do so mentally. But my Gurudev used to say, the feet will follow the heart. If your heart is there, then your feet will follow. So actually the real instruction is to reside there. One time, Bhaktivedanta Padmanabh Maharaj was speaking in Miami at a festival, and he was describing this verse about Tannama Rupa. And he said, if one cannot reside there physically, then one should do so mentally. And my Gurudev just said into the other microphone, no. So again he repeated it, and again my Gurudev said no. So then Padmanabh Maharaj, he looked at Gurudev, and my Gurudev said, if you can afford to come, you should come physically and stay there. This is, if we have that greed. So it's saying, if he cannot stay in Braj physically, then he should do so mentally, because the result of residing in Braj mentally is the same as residing there physically. But how can you reside mentally until you've spent some time, significant time, absorbing? The sadhak should follow in the footsteps of the particular Saki whose loving bhavs, premakik rag, has attracted him. He should reside in Braj with the abhiman of being a kunja sevaka, a maid attendant in the kunj of that particular Saki. He should constantly remember Sri Krishna and the bhav of that Saki. So we do this by following the Astakalya Leela, these 8 stages of the day, starting from Nishanta Leela, Prata, etc. With this gross body, the sadhak should perform the angas of Vaidhi Bhakti, such as Shravana and Kirtan. With his subtle body, he should constantly remember the Astakalya Leela and render his assigned seva as a Siddha Vraja Gopi, according to the 11 bhavs that he has attained. So we have the gross, the subtle, and the spiritual. So it's a progression here. Try to see the distinction. Outwardly, the sadhak must maintain his life following the prescribed rules and regulations. Yes, we never transgress those rules and regulations of Vaidhi Bhakti. That would lead to Sahajiyism completely. And internally, he should cultivate the bhavs that nourish his spiritual form, Siddhadeya. This is referencing Seva Sadhak Rupena. One who follows this procedure correctly will naturally develop detachment from anything other than Braj. It becomes so intoxicating. Braj itself, the atmosphere, the potency, just is overwhelming when one remains there for
a significant time to be able to develop this taste and attraction. Vijay, please illustrate this seva more clearly. So now we're at the stage of Smarana-dasha. Goswami, the real meaning of Brajavas is to stay in a solitary place with uppercut verb. The sadhak should render seva according to the Astakali Leela while regularly chanting a fixed number of Harinam. He should regulate all the activities for bodily maintenance so that it do not become unfavorable to his bhajan. In other words, life should be molded in such a way that activities of bodily maintenance become favorable to one's bhajan. This is exclusive, Aikantika bhajan. This is the only path if we want to reach that goal. There's no half-baked measure. We are going along to the best of our adhikar, but we should know what is the goal. We should know what is our aspiration, to mold our life in such a way. Vijay Kumar contemplated this deeply and said, Prabhu, I've understood this fully. Yes, we can understand it, but then how do we go? But how can the mind be composed? Yes, the mind. Goswami, the mind automatically becomes composed as soon as one attains Raganuga Bhakti. This is because the hankering of the mind for worldly enjoyment automatically ceases when it is enlivened with the inherent loving attachment of the self, and it runs towards Braj. Loving attachment for yourself means the pure self in seva to Radha and Krishna. This is what it means, in pure seva to Radha and Krishna. Knowing that that is my Svarup, that is my nature. In other words, the mind chases after mundane enjoyment only because of its affinity for it. But when this affinity is directed towards Braj, the mind becomes composed because of the absence of such attachment for worldliness. Especially if you live in Vrindavan, there isn't a lot of opportunity to engage in worldly activities, in a sense. But of course, we have these mobile phones, and they can take us anywhere in the universe at any moment, just by a click. So we have that added austerity to put that down. And when we learn to put it down, then the true nature of Braj can embrace our hearts. Still, if you have any apprehension of obstacles, remains, it is beneficial to adopt the gradual Kram course that I have mentioned previously. Then when the mind becomes fully composed, the distractions of worldliness cannot cause any harm. So it's a process, we're in process, we're training ourselves, but we have to know the path, and knowing the path means to know the goal. The goal has to be crystal clear, the conclusion. Just like in Upadeshamrita, if we read the 11th verse and 10th verse first, then everything else makes sense because that's where it's leading to. So we have to know the goal clearly. So this is this 40th chapter, this is what it's presenting. Vijay, what is the meaning of Kram, gradual cultivation? Goswami, one should maintain a fixed count of Harinam, and one should devoutly chant Harinam for a fixed period every day in solitude, absorbed in his particular bhav, and keep his mind free from mundane thought. This is what we described yesterday. Without a proper draft or drinking this holy name daily. And I said yesterday how 16 rounds is what our Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada gave the devotees in the initial stage. He wanted us all to chant a lakh, but he conceded because we were infants. Are we going to remain infants all our lives? It's up to us. It's always our choice. If we want to sober up from our material engagements, then we should take deeply this beverage. And you can still perform all your other activities that you have to, but with a much more focused and explicit execution of them, because your faculty of intelligence is woken up. You know how to how to avoid pitfalls in the material world. You don't have 20-minute phone call conversations that really aren't about much. So it's a process, it's a process. So, and it starts with this Harinam. Keep his mind free from mundane thought. Slowly and gradually one should increase the time for his sadhana, and eventually the stage will come when the mind will always be saturated with alokik chinmoy bhavs, so that no mundane thoughts can prevail over it. How wonderful to consider this place. Actually, if we want to chant more, it means one thing. It means going to bed early. If you go to bed early, you can rise early, because you can't deprive yourself of the sleep, otherwise you're just falling asleep while you're chanting. If you go to bed at a respectable, there's actually nothing much to do after 7 or 8 o'clock. The mind becomes tired and distracted. You can't study so much there. And if it's just sensual chattering and so on, that's not going to be beneficial. So if we train the mind from going to bed early, then we can do easily this sadhana. It's a training that has to take place. Vijay, for how long must one follow this practice? Goswami, one should continue to follow this practice until he has reached a state of mind that is beyond any disturbance. Vijay, how can one perform Nam Smaran? First, you should chant Nam in ulas, a mood of rejoicing. Then combine that joy with possessiveness, mamata. Radhika is mine. I am rejoicing in my savior to Radhika. There's nothing more exhilarating than this. After that, you should compound that mamata with Vishramba intimacy. Yes, then we pray for this intimacy. When you do this, Shuddha Bhav will gradually arise. Then Bhavapana-dasha will appear. Initially, during the time of Smaranam, the sadhak simply imposes Bhav on his practice. However, in the stage of Bhavapana, Shuddha Bhav manifests in the heart, and this is called Prem. This indeed is the sequence for gradual development of Nishta within the heart of the Upasaka, transcendental servant. And this practice also includes the development of Nishta in the conception of the object of Upasya, the object of one's seva. Vijay, what is the sequence of Upasya Nishta? Goswami, if you want to attain the fully blossomed stage of Prem, then you should accept the following instruction of Sri Das Goswami. Yadi chara avasham rajabhuvi saragam priti janur yuvadvanvam takchet paricharitam arad abilisraha Svarupam Shirupam Saganam Iha Tasya Grajam Api Spuritim Prenya Nityam Smaranama Tara Tvam Shrinu Manaha. Manashiksha 3. Yes, Raghunath is our Prayojan Guru. He's giving us all guidance. O mind, if you cherish an ardent desire to live in Braj with Rag, and if you long to render direct loving seva, life after life, to Braja Yugal in their Parakya affairs, which are free from any bondage to the rules of wedlock, then you must distinctly and constantly remember with love Sri Svarupa Goswami and Sri Rup and Sri Sanatan Goswamis, along with their associates. You should accept them as your Guru Rupa Sakis and offer them pranam. These personalities never leave. He reasons ill who tells that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. These personalities are all around us if we want to connect with them. They never leave. And they see one little spark of enthusiasm in this way, and they are there instantly. Instantly you will appreciate their support and nourishment. Instantly. The idea is that if one performs sadhana in the bhav of Swakya Ras, the result is Samanjasa Ras, in which the seva bhav of the divine couple is inhibited and not in a fully blossomed state. So we've discussed all of these terminologies. Samanjasa is the rati of the queens of Dwarka. Therefore, you should perform bhajan, maintaining the spiritual ego, abhiman, of pure parakiya ras, according to the conceptions of Sri Svarupa, Sri Rupa, and Sri Sanatan. Even during the sadhan stage, when the bhavs are simply imposed, one should only adopt the pure parakiya bhav. This is what Mahaprabhu has come specifically to give, parakiya bhav. If this was never there before, if the sadhak imposes the parakiya bhavs, parakiya rati will manifest, and parakiya ras will eventually manifest from this parakiya rati. This indeed is the nitya ras of the Braja Aprakat Leela. Vijay, what is the process of hearing Kram Shuddha in sequence in Astakalya Leela? Beautiful questions. Goswami, after explaining all the fascinating varieties of ras in Astakalya Leela, Sri Rupa Goswami has said, Atalatvat apratvad apto so durvighataham sprishtai param tashtena rasabdi maduro yatha Ujvalanilamani Gona Sambhog Division 23. Krishna Leela is completely transcendental from all aspects. It is a sweet ocean of rasa. However, this ocean is unfathomable and has no shore. Krishna Leela is incomprehensible for the beings of this mundane world because it is extremely difficult for them to penetrate the mortal realm and have access to Shuddha Aprakat Tattva, pure transcendental reality. The Aprakat Ras is so astonishing, variegated, and all-pervading that it cannot be surpassed. Moreover, even if one has been enlivened with Aprakat Bhav and who lives within the pure Tattva explains the esoteric Krishna Leela, his description cannot be flawless or complete because description depends on words, and words are incapable of fully expressing that transcendental reality. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said this about 5 or 6 times through the Jaiva Dharma, that the mind stops at a certain place when the words become useless to describe something achintya, something so beyond. So we shouldn't be always seeking to describe these things, rather be experiencing these things. And then if we're put on the spot and it's necessary for us to actually speak these things, something of purity will manifest, something will come out. But we shouldn't be always thinking, how am I going to explain this? How am I going to... Because the mind is then working. It's working in logic and rationale mood rather than spontaneous. The Aprakat Ras is so astonishing, variegated, and all-pervading that it cannot be surpassed. That means it's achintya, beyond words. Moreover, even when one who has been enlivened with Aprakat Bhav and who lives within the pure Tattva explains the esoteric Krishna Leela, his descriptions cannot be flawless or complete because description depends on words, and words are incapable of fully expressing that transcendental reality. What to speak of such a person when Bhagavan himself describes Aprakat Ras? Listeners and readers who are themselves overwhelmed by mundane faults and limitations perceive even his own description as faulty. Consequently, it is certainly very difficult to dive deep in the ocean of rasa. However, when one is situated on the shore of this ocean, in a neutral state, he can describe just a drop of it. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is doing this with great expertise. Vijay, then how is it possible to attain Aprakat Ras? Goswami, Madhurya Ras is unfathomable, matchless, and difficult to understand. This is the very nature of Krishna Leela. However, our beloved Krishna is unlimitedly endowed with 2 special qualities, which are the real basis of our hopes. He is Sarva Shaktiman, possessed of all potencies, and Ichamayi, possessed of his own unimpeded and independent will. Therefore, by his sweet will, he can easily make his esoteric Leelas manifest in this mundane world. That also means in the mundane heart, he can make that manifest. Although they are unlimited, unfathomable, and difficult to understand. This mundane realm is extremely insignificant and petty, but still, as the supreme autocrat, he desires to bring the topmost transcendental aspects of Krishna Leela to this world. It is only by his causeless mercy that his transcendental, eternal sweet Leelas, which are saturated with rasa, aprakat nitya madhurya rasamaya Leela, have manifested in this mundane world. And this is all coming through our Guru Varg. This is the current. This is where it's coming from. This is why it's so essential to take association of those who are connected with that Guru Varga from Rupa Goswami, from Bhaktivinoda Thakur coming through. Without that association, as we were saying yesterday, then nothing really genuine can transpire. Because we're trying to connect with Krishna, but if we can't connect with the current that Krishna bestows upon those sadhaks in this world, how can we expect to connect with Krishna? This is not logical. How is it possible for Sri Mathuradham, which is aprakat, transcendental to this mundane world, to manifest in this world, and how does it exist here? No argument can be applied in this matter, because it is never possible for the limited intelligence of humans or devatas to understand the activities of Bhagavan's achintya shakti. Braj-Leela in this world is the prakat bhav, the manifest experience of the topmost Krishna Leela, which is transcendental to this mundane realm. We have realized and attained it, so there is no cause of anxiety for us. When we read the 10th canto, for example, these are direct descriptions, beautiful descriptions of the Lord's prakat pastimes, these nimitic Leelas that we have, Krishna's birth, etc., coming up in a few days' time. This is all nimitic, this is all temporary. This is not the Nitya Leela. But this takes us into the world. It purifies the heart. It's bringing us these higher, sweeter states of consciousness simply by hearing these pastimes. We become purified and we develop the adhikar to hear more by hearing the 10th canto directly. Vijay, if Prakat Leela and Aprakat Leela are both the same tattva, how is it possible for the one to be superior to another? Goswami, undoubtedly both are the same. The Leela that is manifest here indeed exists in its entirety in the transcendental realm. However, from the point of view of the conditioned souls, in the initial stages of sadhana, it appears one way, and as they gradually advance, it appears in progressively elevated forms. It's progression, evolution of consciousness is actually what it is. In the stage of bhavapana, realization of this Leela is completely pure. These are so beautiful. Vijay, you are eligible to hear this subject, so I have no hesitation in speaking with you. One attains the stage of bhavapana in his Smarana-dasha as a result of performing the appropriate sadhana for a long time. During the stage of Smarana, when one becomes completely free from all the polluted moods of his mundane experience, the stage of apana, realization of one's Svarupa, appears. Shuddha Bhakti mercifully appears in the sadhak's heart according to the degree of appropriate practice in Smarana-dasha. Bhakti alone is Krishna Akashani, attractive to Krishna. So by Krishna's grace, all the dirt in the form of misconceptions is gradually removed in Smarana-dasha. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-26. Yata yatatma priyachayate sho mat punya gata shravana bidanaha tata tata pashyati vastu shukshmam chakshu yataiva jana samprayuktam. Just as anointing the eyes with salve gives them the power to see even subtle objects, similarly, when the jiva's heart is cleansed by the shravan and kirtan of my supremely purifying Leela Katha, he gains the ability to realize extremely subtle tattva, namely the truth about my Svarup and Leelas. It's so captivatingly exciting. When the eyes are treated with ointment, they can see much more clearly. In just the same way, a jiva can realize the aprakat Svarup, transcendental nature of the manifest Krishna Leela to the extent that he is purified by contact with the aprakat vastu, the transcendental reality, through Shravan, Kirtan, Smarana, and Krishna Leela Katha. These are all powerful, powerful processes to connect the consciousness with the highest conceivable state of consciousness. We know, even scientists will say, that we only use a small portion of our brain. What's in the rest of it can be accessed through mantra, through diligent practice, through careful sadhana. All of that can be opened, and then the eyes will see, the eyes of love. It is said in Brahma Samhita 538, Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena shanta sadaiva hridayeshu valokayanti yam shyama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I perform bhajan of the primeval Purush, Sri Govinda, who is Shyamasundara Krishna. His form has inconceivably unique qualities, and his Shuddha Bhaktas perpetually see him in their hearts with the eye of devotion, anointed with the salve of love. This will happen through practice and the potency of Nam coming into the heart and consciousness. At the stage of Bhavapana, Svarupa-siddhi, the faculty of transcendental vision appears, and at that time the sadhaka can have darshan of his Sakhi, and also Yuteshwari Srimati Radhika. Even after having darshan of Gokulanath Sri Krishna, the sadhak's realization is not steady at all times until he achieves the stage of Smadhi-dasha, Vastu-siddhi. Vastu-siddhi is when we actually leave this body altogether, in which his gross and subtle bodies are destroyed. That's Vastu-siddhi. Svarupa-siddhi is prior to that. However, the secondary result of Smadhi-dasha, the stage in which Krishna's mercy is fully manifested, is that the connection of the jiva with this mundane world is completely cut off. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're like a yogi sitting on top of a hill and you're having nothing to do with the material energy. It means you have zero attachment to anything in this world whatsoever. Even zero attachment to your body. You know that the body is just material and will drop at any moment. But you've purified any smell of material attachment in this world. And you continue on with your regular activities and so on, but with utter detachment, with complete detachment. And Bhagavatam speaks about this detachment all the way through. So much is reference to detachment we hear. However, the second result of Smadhi-dasha, the stage in which Krishna's mercy is fully manifested, is that the connection of the jiva with this mundane world is completely cut off. Varada-dasha is called Svarupa-siddhi, and in Smarana-dasha one attains Vastu-siddhi. Vijay. How does one experience Krishna's Nam, Guna, Rupa, Leela, and Dham at the time of Vastu-siddhi? Goswami. I cannot answer this question. I will only be able to see them and speak about them when I attain Vastu-siddhi, because he's still in the body. He's in Svarupa-siddhi. And you will only be able to understand and realize these things when you attain Smadhi-dasha. At that time, there will be no further need to make you understand the various aspects of Krishna Leela. You will perceive it directly, so you will have no more need for further inquiry. Besides, it is useless for the bhakta to express what he sees in his Svarupa-siddhi, that is, in the Varada-dasha, because none of his hearers will be able to realize what he is saying. It should not be shared, it should not be spoken of. That's not the purpose of it. You see, we get conditioned by our idea for preaching. If that's all we hear about, where is going to be the internal development of bhajan? The preaching will happen automatically. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada said the preaching is the belching of the bhajan. When we do our bhajan, then simply everything you say will be preaching. You don't have to actually enunciate the words or etc. Just by your being, the purity of your realized soul will affect people sufficiently. There's no need for words or explanation. It's like a self-manifesting, like Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Wherever he went, he could be talking about the most mundane thing, but he would be exuding such potency. My Gurudev was the same. Srila Rupa Goswami has described the symptoms of Svarupa-siddha Mahapurushas as follows. Jane chej jata bhavapi vaigunyam iva drishyate karya tatapi nushya na shuya karataha sarvataiva saha. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.359. You may see some apparent imperfection or misconduct in the external behavior of bhaktas who have attained the stage of bhav. Even so, it is essential not to be envious of them by attributing faults to them, because they have become completely detached from everything other than Krishna, and therefore they are fully successful in every respect. So if we see someone who is completely detached, he has no more agenda in this world, so he might transgress some type of social etiquette because he's not actually attached to social etiquette, so he should never be criticized in any way. Therefore, they are fully successful in every respect.
Danyasyam nava prema yasyon milati chetasi antarvani bir api asya mudra shushtu sudurgama.
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.4.17. This prema only appears in the hearts of those who are very fortunate. Even those who are learned in Shastra find it very difficult to comprehend the activities and movements of those in whom the new sprout of prema has appeared. Vijay. If that is so, why are there attempts in Sri Brahma Samhita and other Shastras to give a description of Golok? Good, beautiful questions. Goswami, when great sadhus are situated in their Svarupa-siddhi, and when Brahma and other devatas have been mercifully granted a vision of Sri Krishna's transcendental pastimes, they have tried to glorify such pastimes through their stavas and stutis, according to their respective visions. However, such descriptions are only limited because this mundane realm has no proper words to express the aprakat bhavs. So we shouldn't try excessively to express these things, but realize these things, relish these things, and serve these things internally. It's an internal path. This is the huge turnaround, so to speak. If we've been coming through the school of our training, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My Gurudev always told me he's come to tell us that he's not. So like this, everything has to evolve to come to this point. The bhaktas, however, have no need for all these descriptions. Yes, because they're seeing it internally. It is recommended that they should perform bhajan by taking support of the prakat Leela that Sri Krishna has very kindly manifested in this world, and they will accomplish all perfection. By this alone, those who perform such bhajan in Gokul with nishta will very soon receive a spurti of Golok in their hearts. All the Divya Leela of Gokul are also eternally existent in Goloka, for in Tattva there is no distinction between them. Those with material vision perceive phenomena and the activities in Gokul as mundane or illusory. When he's saying Gokul here, it's referencing the Boma Vrindavan in this world, as mundane or illusory. But such perception ceases to exist at the time of Svarupa-siddhi. One should continue to perform bhajan and be satisfied with whatever realization of the transcendental reality is bestowed upon him according to his adhikar. You can't push it. You can't crash the gates of heaven. You can't push, because the soul can't be pushed. We're waiting to come to that. The stage of asakti is when there's no, like ruchi, there's some awareness of the imposition we're placing on the senses, but in the stage of asakti, it's just a natural attraction for Krishna. It's naturally spontaneous. What to speak of when we come into these stages, bhav, higher than bhav, these stages we're discussing now. There's no imposition for the soul. I'll read that again because it's really important. One should continue to perform bhajan and be satisfied with whatever realization of the transcendental reality is bestowed upon him according to his adhikar. This is really Sri Krishna's instruction. If we sincerely adhere to his instructions, in due course of time, he will surely bestow on us his causeless mercy, through which we can have the full vision of his Divya Leela. Yes, we're waiting for this mercy. Our path, we've said so many times, is Avaroha Panta, where the descending path, it's coming down, it's coming down. We simply have to do the chesta, we have to do the work, we have to do the sadhan, we have to make that effort initially, and then it will come spontaneously by itself, ultimately. This is what it's saying. But we have to do the effort to begin with. It's like in any type of relationship, for example, we make an effort and then we wait for the reciprocation. So it's in both ways, it's the same. Now Vijay Kumar became completely free from doubt in every respect. He fully awoke to his innate disposition and skillfully dovetailed all the Ekadash bhavs in Krishna Leela. He seated himself in his bhajan kutia on the seashore in Puri, became completely composed, and spent his entire time relishing Prem Seva. During this time, Brajanath's mother left this world, and Brajanath left for his native place along with his grandmother. Sakya Prem had arisen in his unalloyed heart, and thus he resided in Navadvip Dham in the association of sincere Vaishnavas, and performed his bhajan blissfully on the bank of the Bhagavati Ganga. Vijay Kumar, however, gave up his household dress and accepted the kopin and bahirvash of the renunciant. He maintained his life by Madhukari, begging Sri Mahaprasad while remaining constantly absorbed in bhajan. Throughout all the 8 praharas of the day and night, he took only a little rest during the time of Sri Sri Radha Krishna's transcendental sleep. After they ate, he would honor prasad, and when they were awake, he would render appropriate seva. His Harinam Mala was in his hands at all times. Sometimes he would dance, and sometimes he wept loudly. At other times, while gazing at the waves in the sea, he would laugh. Who but Vijay himself could understand the movements of his bhajan and the transcendental bhav of his heart? Outwardly, his name became Nimai Das Babaji. He never indulged in speaking or hearing worldly talk. He was the very embodiment of humility. His character was spotless, and his determination in bhajan was unwavering. If anybody offered him Mahaprasad or Kopin Bahirvesh, he accepted only the very least that he needed and not more. While he was chanting Harinam, tears constantly glided down his cheeks. His throat became choked, and the hairs of his body stood erect. Within a short span of time, he attained perfection in his bhajan, and Sri Krishna most graciously bestowed upon him the adhikar to render seva in his apricot Leela. Like Brahma Haridas Thakur, his bhajan deha, the body with which he performed bhajan, was buried under the sands of the beach at Puri. So now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written a beautiful concluding thing. I think we've got time to read it today. Bolo Bhagavan Shri Krishna Chandra Ki Jai.
Guru Krishna Vaishnavera Kripa Bale Dari Bhakti Vinodadhina Bahuyatna Kari.
After striving many days and carrying upon his head the Kripa Shakti of Sri Guru, Krishna and the Vaishnavas, this lowly Bhaktivinoda Thakur
Virachila Jaiva Dharma Gaudiya Pasaya Sampurna Hoile Granta Magiya Purnimaya
has composed Jaiva Dharma according to the pure conceptions of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. This book was fully complete on Magh Purnima, the full moon day of the month of Magh.
Chaitanya Da Chari Sata Dasha Navadvit Gautram Surabhi Kunje Janavi Samipe.
In the year 410 of the Chaitanya era, 1896, at Surabhi Kunj in Godrum, near the sacred river Janavi in Navadvip Mandal,
Shri Kali Pavana Gora Padayanra Asha Eganta Padun Tani Kariya Vishvasha.
those who desire the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga, the purifier of the age of Kali, should read this book with faith.
Gauranga Janhara Na Janmile Shraddha Lesh Eganta Padite Tanra Sapata Vishesh.
However, I take an oath that someone who has not developed even a trace of Shraddha for Gauranga Dev should not read this book.
Shuksha Muktivada Krishna Kabu Nahi Pai Shradan Vane Vraje Leela Shuddha Rupe Pai.
For the dry Muktivads can never attain the shelter of Sri Krishna, but one who is endowed with spiritual Shraddha will gradually realize the full esoteric aspects of Braja Leela. How incredibly astonishing. So beautiful. So incredible. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. We can see that he's given his entire heart, consciousness, mind, soul, everything into producing this remarkable granta for us. And the intelligent sadhak will take the greatest advantage of this absolute jewel that he has bestowed upon us at this particular time. And it's so simple for us to do because we have the Mahamantra. We have the Mahamantra that was in the center of this book. We talked yesterday. And with the potency of that Mahamantra, it will purify our misconceptions and darkness very quickly. They will run away like the lion roaring and all the lesser animals that run away. This is the potency of the Mahamantra. So we have the weapon, so to speak, to chase the negativity and misconceptions away. And that's the negative aspect, the Tatashta Lakshan, but the Svarupa-lakshan, the positive side, is that it will attract Krishna. Sri Krishna Akashani Chasa. He will become attracted. When he is attracted, his Kripa, Avaroha Panta, will descend into the heart. And then we will have the ability, the adhikar, to wake up to these remarkable conceptions all the way through. So we've been right the way through everything from the Sambandha, the Abhideya, and the Prayojan. We haven't, Bhaktivinoda Thakur hasn't left a single idea or tattva loose or out. Every single thing, every nut and bolt, so to speak, is here in one small. When we were publishing this, my Gurudev wanted a big book, but I begged him, please make a small book because devotees travel all the time and we can make it light, so like on Bible paper. So we made it like small enough, practically put in a big pocket. So never be without our Jaiva Dharma. Always have it ready and at hand, and have these conceptions regularly floating through our minds, especially what we've read today, this Shravan-dasha, Varada-dasha, Smarana-dasha, Bhavapana-dasha, and Sampati-dasha. These are the 5 final stages of our evolution of consciousness, which will bring us to the lotus feet of this Nitya Prem Seva to Sri Radharani in the kunjas of Sri Vrindavan. Gaur Premanande, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gauda Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gauda Hari Bol.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnaveno. So I'm concluding my Jaiva Dharma reading, and I plan, after some time, a few weeks perhaps, to start again, because there's some chapters. The first, my Gurudev said, out of all the 40 chapters, the first 4 are the most important, and of the first 4, the first 2, and of the first 2, the first 1. So I plan to go over these 4 chapters again, and I also want to go specifically through the 14th chapter, Shakti Tattva, again, and then come into the Rag Marg and the 18th, 19th, 20th chapters, and perhaps just read on through this Rasa Tattva section again. So that's my plan today. We'll see what Krishna has in store, but I would like to keep going through this again and again. I don't know any more attractive scripture that's more compelling. Chaitanya Charitamrita is certainly compelling, but Jaiva Dharma is written in such a accessible story-like form, and it's so systematically walking through all the different stages of our bhajan. So let's see. So it's just remarkable. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has arranged that today, tomorrow or the next day, I actually have to vacate this place for a while. So he invited me to come here and speak this Jaiva Dharma, and now it's concluded, and now circumstances are prevailing where I have to leave for some time. So just Bhaktivinoda Thakur's magnificence is tangible. We can touch it. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaup Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.